that definitely was something that was part of this little block of tracks going out to my next guest, who will in turn make me his guest in just a little bit. Before that, Wheels of Steel from the 7-inch version from Saxon. That was initially a bonus track, depending on which version you get, because there's the American version and there's the original version on Carrera Records. So depending on what you get, what I just played you was the 7-inch version of Saxon's Wheels of Steel. Before that, Motorbike Song from Angry Anderson, singer of Rose Tattoo. That comes from Blood from Stone. And started things off with Battle Axe from their 1986 release, Power from the Universe, with Chopper Attack. And Pure Rockers, I'm about to get, well, not attack, but I'm about to get some Chopperhead from the magazine. Not only is it print, but it's online. Been in publication since 2001. Joining me in studio. Now, as I mentioned, Pure Rockers, after the last couple of weeks of guests, I had Fabian Shine from the French band Shaken Street, and previously Jean Bevois from the Plasmatics, and currently with Crown of Thorns. My guest approves of Jean Bevois. And after 2 weeks of great guests that I wanted to have on the show, as it turns out, our schedules finally synced up. I met this gentleman. We've met over the years, but we finally had a talk at a Danko Jones show last December here in Hollywood, California, and I would run into him at many assorted shows the last several months, and we decided, you know what, let's join forces, let's do something together, and hopefully we'll make it happen. Well, guess what, Pure Rockers? Today is that day. Now, this is, again, Chopperhead Magazine. Go to chopperheadmagazine.com. He is the editor, founder, and creator of the magazine. Please help me welcome Mr. Tim Stevens. How you doing, Tim?
I'm great, man, and I'm excited to be here, man.
Well, good. I'm glad you were able to make it down finally.
Yeah.
After so many attempts.
Yeah.
To come on down. So.
I was on that lazy boy time, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You know, when you're a lazy boy, you have to kind of get, you have to be persistent with lazy boys.
I heard that. Are you a sports aficionado, along with doing the magazine?
I'm a big sports fan, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because when you said lazy boy, I'm thinking about, there's NBA playoffs, there's hockey playoffs, and I'm biding my time till the NFL playoffs start. But for the most part, just lounging.
But I'm a serious metalhead.
Yes, so that's one thing we clearly have in common, and I mean, obviously you'll have some questions for me, and I have some questions for you. But tell me about this magazine and how you decided to do this format, because on the surface, judging, as most people will do on the surface, no one would think that you would be associated with motorcycles, much like when people meet me for the first time, they would not look at me and think I would be associated with hard rock and heavy metal. I call it a lazy stereotype, which it is.
Yeah.
So with myself and you, breaking that stereotype. So tell me about Chopperhead Magazine and its origins, and what got you going with that?
Well, my dad is a mechanic, and he was in the Air Force, you know, since like 1957.
Wow. Okay.
And so he's like one of these top AMP mechanics and does sheet metal work and everything. And so I grew up around mechanics, and on weekends, you know, he'd work on cars, and his buddies would work on cars and bikes, and so I was around that. And so I kind of grew up in that world. And then when I got older, because he didn't want me to be a mechanic, so I became a musician, because my mom made me take piano lessons. And I came out to LA when I finished high school in Ohio and tried the rock and roll thing, and I was a resounding failure.
Okay. Now you say resounding. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Obviously, no career guidance counselor came your way, but what happened that didn't pan out?
Timing. I came out here in the middle '80s, and I was like a hair metal band lover. And at that time, they just weren't ready for black guys to be doing that. And so I'd say about 90, 91, I started to realize that it wasn't going to happen for me the way I wanted it to. And I went back to college and finished my degree up at UC Santa Barbara, and got out of college, and then realized that I was still a bike nut and a mechanic lover, and after many years of screwing around, I decided to get back into that world, and the best way to do it was because at that point I'd become a pansy because I'd been a musician for years, and I wasn't like my dad or the guys,
Right.
you know. And so I realized, okay, I'll use my creative side, and you know, talk about bikes, and then the fact that I'd been a musician for so many years. I knew a lot of guys in the entertainment industry here in LA, and they would always call me up when I first started and say, put my band in. And I'd be like, it's a biker magazine, and they'd be like, well, so what, man? Help a bro out.
Right.
And I put in a band called Bleed the Sky back in 2004.
Okay, I remember them.
And they weren't signed. And then later the label called me up and said, you know, will you put in another band? And I'm like, no, we don't do that. And they said, well, you put in Bleed the Sky. And I'm just like, who saw the magazine? You know, at that point, the magazine was like, it was digest size, and, you know, it was no distribution. And
Well, you had to start somewhere.
yeah, and so I was just shocked that people were finding it and paying attention to it, and that labels were paying attention to it. And that's how I started incorporating bands, music in with the bikes, and then it just grew from there. And then, you know, that's how I ended up running into people like you at events and stuff, because we cover, I'd say we're 60% bikes and about 40% music.